Well, give us your name. What's your name again?
I'm Paul Hughes, both the executive director here at the Rebuild Warehouse as well as the president of Deconstruction Service.
So there's two organizations you're involved with, the warehouse, the Rebuild Warehouse, and Reconstruction Services.
Deconstruction. Deconstruction Services, yeah.
Oh, what's the difference? Who cares?
Well, we'll get into that. There is a difference.
So deconstruction. Now, the warehouse is nonprofit, right?
That's correct.
And deconstruction is for-profit.
That's correct.
So let's start with the money. What do you do there?
Well, with deconstruction, what we do from that sense is we disassemble houses, saving roughly 80%, or recycling or reuse, and the owners donate that material to us. That's what you see here in the warehouse. They get a tax deduction for that.
So you go out and they're going to either fix up their house or they're going to tear it all down or something like that?
Either major remodeling or tear it down, yeah.
And so you come in and you take all the stuff they're going to throw away so it doesn't go in the landfill. Is that right?
Yeah. It's their product, though. We're not a salvage company. We're not going in and taking possession. It's still their property, and they donate it. And so
they donate it. I see. So then do they pay you for the service?
They do, and that's what distinguishes us from, say, a salvage company, which is the other way around. They'll pay the owner to come in and get their material.
So they pay you to clean it out and bring it here, and they get a tax deduction for all that stuff.
And in many cases, depending on what tax bracket they're in, you can imagine some of the higher brackets, that's enough to totally offset our labor-intensive process in disassembling that house.
So they have a chance to make money off their old stuff, right?
That's correct.
So their options are to maybe they could do it themselves and bring it here, or hire you and you take it off their hands, bring it here, and they get the tax. I guess if they bring it here by themselves, they get the tax deduction.
And we do have people that do that, contractors and individuals.
So then, and their motive to do that then is what?
Severalfold. Green. They don't want to see the material going in the landfill. They want to see the material reused by people, just kind of like cars. You just step it down.
I see, right.
People that can afford it. And they want the tax deduction. A lot of people are not going to do this unless they get some sort of tax break on it. Yes.
So in other words, they're getting maybe, and you say a lot of times it's a wash if they have you come out and get it.
In many cases, it can actually exceed our costs.
Exceed our costs.
If there's high quality stuff, they can actually walk away with some money on the table.
Because you're giving them a value, and then they run off that value?
Well, we don't give the value. If it looks like it's a promising job based on our proposal, they'll get an independent appraiser who will come in and give them a value that they think it's worth to be netted out when we finally take the material out to see that we got it all that they thought they would get. And based on that, that becomes the basis for their filing their tax.
I see. So you come out and you give them an estimate of what looks good and what you could probably sell. Then an appraiser comes out and gives them a price for that. They put that price in their tax return and get that tax deduction.
That's correct.
Now, otherwise, it would be just going to the landfill.
That's right. Yes. Everything you see here in the warehouse would be in the landfill. Right?
Wow, and that's the bigger motive. If people could realize that, but they're more motivated by the money, I'm sure.
Half and half.
Really?
That's
nice to hear.
You'd be surprised. There's a growing kind of green market out there that's very interested in this kind of thing.
So, do you think it's because it's the higher income area you're in, or?
Probably so, but it's also the landfill costs as well. This is costing a lot for all that just to be dumped. Those are expensive. Some of these roll-offs can be $700-800 a piece, and you have.
What do you mean a roll-off?
It's one of these big, you would call them a dumpster that you see at a building site where they throw all the debris in.
Right.
Those things can cost you $800 to dump one of those things.
So you dump, that's $800, so you're saving that.
Yeah.
So do you put that into the equation?
We factor all that in to show them how much they can net.
Exactly. Wow, I see. So they're really saving bunches of more money than just the tax write-off. It's that the disposal cost, the opportunity cost. And so how long have you been doing that?
The deconstruction we've been doing 7 years, and we just started the warehouse about 1.5 years ago.
I see. So the warehouse is new.
Yep.
So now how does the warehouse operate then?
Well, we receive the material, as I described, and what we do is we arrange it by department. It's almost like a used building material Home Depot.
I see.
And we sell it, the material, for 50% to 75% off of what you'd normally pay retail price new for that item.
I see. So I see there's a lot of toilets and bathtubs
lumber,
and sinks and lumber and whatever you can think of, doors, windows, and I'm looking for a new refrigerator. I got to look.
You would find them. A lot of people come in here looking for a second refrigerator, and one for their keep the beer out in the garage, or their summer place. You know, so.
It's fun. I mean, it's a kid's dream too to run around. I see you have a sign here, and kids are not allowed alone.
That's right. Well,
I'd have a ball at 10 years old in here. So the prices are
drastically reduced.
You're right. So it's a good place. So if you're building a new place and you don't want it real fancy, you're not at the top of the line, you could get it here.
That's kind of one of our three missions as a nonprofit, and you're supposed to be, community service, which is what we are. One of it is to recycle that material back into the community to maintain homes and keep the community's homes nice and so forth. The other one is we train at-risk workers in green-collar jobs.
I see.
And
in where? In the deconstruction or here?
It can be in deconstruction. We've trained some of them in asbestos abatement. We've trained some of them in invasive plant species removal using pesticides, like kudzu and English ivy that are bad for the environment and so forth. Smother the plants that they grow on. Home weatherization, we're doing that.
Oh, I see.
The very flooring we're sitting on right now, our guys have now learned how to install all the reclaimed flooring that we get out of houses now, so we're putting that back in, sanding it, polyurethaning it, staining it, and so forth, in new houses. So,
and is that part of the weatherization, home weatherization, from the Department of Energy money or anything
unfortunately,
like that?
no. We have not been a party to that. We'd probably be still waiting on the money.
Yeah, right. But, I think a lot of places are,
but we would like to tap into that at some point. And we do home weatherization, as I say, so we work with energy auditors. They'll go into a place.
No, I think that's the best thing that people. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe I'm saying something bad here, but it seems like I see all these ads. Get new windows and stuff like that, and everybody's just selling windows when you could probably save a heck of a lot more if you get an energy audit with.
You could get an energy audit and probably 2 big cases of caulk, and probably save yourself as much money as you do on
more.
Those. Right. You've got it. You understand it. A lot of people look at that tax credit. Of course, those are the companies that have the money to put up advertising and those people.
Somebody approached me to do the ad for them. And they're expensive.
You can drop $30,000 in a heartbeat.
And actually, I'm doing my house. I had energy on it for $2,000. I'm saving. I'm getting my money back in 12 months.
Exactly.
Windows will take me forever.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, you've got the message. A lot of people don't have that, though. Good to hear.
So now you're training these people. Now, because I'm a government program guy, are you getting training money?
No, we've done all of this
yourself.
Without government money. We've had a little support from foundations, family foundations, that sort of thing. But it's been all private.
Good for you.
Private money. Yeah.
Well, thinking of it, what I think about people, particularly small business and nonprofits, to think of government programs for your employees. Because you're not a big expensive, you don't have a big retirement plan, I'm
assuming. You're absolutely right, yes.
Working here, same way for me. But all the programs that be able to help those employees with health care services or prescription drugs or sending their kids to school, all that stuff. That's another interview.
We're working, as I said before, with at-risk workers. So these people could be ex-offenders. It could be people coming out of
there's a tax break for that.
Yeah. But these are people who really haven't even had a career before, so this is starting them out on the first couple rungs of a career. And we've got some now that have been with us about 4 and 5 years now. So
you've only been around 7, you said?
Yeah. So they found a home.
Yeah, and this is going to be a growing market, not a shrinking market, I would think.
Exactly. Yeah. It's. Energy efficiency is one element of this, but you're saving embodied energy in not recycling stuff. You're saving landfill space that otherwise would have been filled up. All the carbon dioxide, the toxic chemicals that are used in the manufacture. the transport of that to distributor and then to retailer, and all that stuff just adds up, and this is saving all of that when you recycle.
How is, your business growing, or?
Well, we made the, unfortunate mistake of starting the lowest month of 2008, or 2009, and since then it's been going up. That was the depth of the recession.
Right.
We got a good price on the
I think that's the best time to start a business. But if you make it then, man, you're strong, you'll make it anytime.
And you come out the other side stronger. That's what we found too.
So the deconstruction, though, has been like 7 years. And how do you market that? I mean, how do people know about that?
Well, at this point, it's primarily, I'd say half of our customers on that are from the public that want to be green. The other half are from builders that we've established relationships with. And
so you market to builders so they know about your product.
And we'll come in along with their plumbers and electricians when they're estimating a house, and we'll give them our estimate of what it would take to deconstruct.
That's terrific.
And, so
what did you do before this?
Funny question. I used to be my own consultant.
He was a congressman.
I worked a lot with states, local governments, nonprofits in energy efficiency, renewable energy, but there wasn't money at that point. It was in the mid-90s and so forth, and they weren't given a lot of grants for that. Now with global climate change and so forth, people are beginning to see that there's some things that need to be turned around, and there's beginning to be more interest in this kind of thing than there was 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, I feel if we don't get more interested, we're screwed.
I think that's a fair assessment. I've been worried about this global warming thing as an environmentalist since the early 80s.
So you're basically, your background is environmentalism?
That's my orientation, and we look upon this as an environmentally sustainable business because, as you say, this is going to be around and growing, hard times, good times, everything else, because we're not going to be able to import stuff like we used to. We're not going to be able to waste resources like we have in the past.
And you see, we're talking about jobs going out. I mean, if we're buying cheap products from overseas to ship here to put in a house instead of recycling right here, and you get them even cheaper.
and they're solid wood cabinets.
So better products.
It's even better. We get a lot of full dimensional lumber. I know you hardly see that anymore, but it's a real 2x8, 2x4, real 2 inches. It's not the cutoff. Paying for the saw cut kind of thing.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. So you weren't in the construction business at all?
Never been. It's all policy programs, demonstration projects. I did help get grants for localities and nonprofits to do some of these things, but
you were more a wonk.
And I got frustrated, frankly, because you could sit around and just wonk so much, and then it's time to do something. And getting into deconstruction, you can finish a day, and I think that's what the appeal is to some of our workers. You finish a day, you can see what you've done that day, what you've accomplished. And it's very satisfying.
Trying to get legislation to do something.
That's a little bit more amorphous. Absolutely,
and so you see the results. And I think, boy, I believe it. But you're preaching the choir, I believe. But what's more interesting about you, though, is how you went from not being like just a local wonk closer to something. You really changed. You're in the construction business.
And we want to see change. And you get to a point where, you just stand around, you can only talk about it for so long. And then you want to start having an impact. So far, it's worked out very well.
Well, I think you're right, too, is that if you want to affect change, you got to. The best way is by example. Sort of like raising kids. You can't tell a kid what to do.
That is absolutely
If you tell them to exercise and eat right, you're sitting there with a big pot belly. They're not going to get the message. But if you're running every day and doing it, they get that message. So here, if you're complaining about the environment, complaining about wasting stuff, man, you just start something.
And people will want to join that because they're looking for things that make sense to them and are doing the right thing. It just... Unfortunately, not a lot of that right now going on, or it's too expensive in the case of renewables and so forth. But this is very affordable.
Say the deconstruction business, did that take a lot of money to get into?
Not really, no. That's one of the advantages of it, too. There wasn't a lot of heavy upfront. Here there was.
You operate
you need the space, but you operate at a deficit for a couple of years.
Deconstruction sounds like just your services. So you're selling services if you're if you're a programmer or a web designer, it's all the same thing. You got that. You get some basic equipment, and you're on your way.
Except these jobs you can't export them.
Yeah,
they're here. And they're for local workers, and they're for people who got maybe didn't make the IT revolution, and now this is something, the whole environmental thing is a growth field, and they could latch onto this and have a career.
It's probably more satisfying than sitting behind a television screen or TV or computer screen all day.
One of our recent employees working here in the warehouse came exactly from that kind of IT background and just didn't want to sit behind a desk the rest of his career.
Like you.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Living example of that.
You were thinking important thoughts all day. And now you're breaking stuff up and reselling it.
And then you got to do something.
Right. Yeah. Well, great to have you around.
Thanks, I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Great stuff. Check it out.